people are really getting scared because of the COVID, and then I read an article about how quickly spread in China, in Korea, and still here, right? And sometimes we don't know, but a lot of people got infected and still they are dying and hospitalized, and some people really struggle with the health and but yeah, I think it's, the variant is a little bit different, but still it will affect our health. I hope that you guys are taking care of yourself very well. And today we're gonna talk about authority. Authority. If you have power and authority, and maybe you can do something with entitlement and privilege, right? And even though regardless of the political system, and then what's communism and capitalism and democracy, whatever, people who have power and authority, and I consider the power and authority is kind of the source of the evil. Sometimes we can see that it seems there is no any problem behind it. There's a big systematic crimes and systematic evils. Anyway, if you really want to work for schools later on, maybe if you want to become principals and maybe superintendent in the district, maybe if you want to serve as a board members, whatever, and then there is a power and authority. How can you use it? Depends on the power used by someone and what. And the system is totally different, and the organization organization is totally different, and the country is totally different. So authority, power is really important. So how can you execute your power with what kind of your leadership with? And so we're gonna talk about authority and power and influence at school. As when you become an administrator, like principals and vice president, and what about vice president, principal, and then maybe superintendent or board members who, maybe in certain position, you have a certain position is given some power. How can you use your power, and how can you use your authority, right? Let's talk about the source of authority. Sometimes there is powers illegally given, but power is kind of legally given, like authority, like school administrator, and that's a part of like if you work at the government, like political leaders, and if you go to a company and there's a president, vice president, and some managers, like wherever they go, and under the law of the organization, there's a power is given, right? Power is given. That will be called legal authority and legal power. So sometimes power is given because your position is up there, high up, right? Higher up, and then automatically because of the position, and then you have the power, even though you don't acknowledge your position and who you are, and then maybe they already assume that you have a power, and they try to give you authority. That's one of them. A legal power. Sometimes it's a power given to traditions. What kind of traditions? When I grew up in Korean culture, so we always, whether whether the teacher is good or not, we try to respect. And we gotta respect and raise a king, we gotta respect and parents, and we gotta respect teachers. They are all same authority in my culture when I grew up. It's in Korean culture, but nowadays it's different though. And I graduated high school and college, and there is kind of movement in Korea, and then nowadays, and try to democracy in education, and then a lot of teachers joined unions, and then protest against the government, and then nowadays it's changed a lot. Sometimes, and nowadays it's hard to see the authority given by tradition because the culture has changed now. So teacher cannot say anything to student is doing something else during the class hour. Just leave them alone. Right? A couple days ago, when I was 25 in America, 25 years old teacher had trouble with 6 years old, maybe second grade student, 6 years old. And the student brought a gun and killed our teachers. Not killed, it's a very critical condition. And there is no kind of authority and power given by tradition that we really respect teachers. So usually, principal came, and it's right. They have a legitimate right to make demand. That's So another one is it's earned, right? And then sometimes perceived being deserved. Like the same as a little bit different, but you work hard and and you get a certain position, and then sometimes you have a power, authority. But influence a little bit different, but we're gonna talk about later. That is so people respect the person or the positions. That's earned and sometimes deserved, right? That's a power. Maybe you come to school and then basically I'm a faculty member, and right? And then whether you don't know much about me, but still he's a faculty member, and then basically you give me basic authority, power for this class, right? That's kind of the things. But think about the administrators' authority at school. And maybe authority by school board members, and maybe allow him to kind of welcome and give him the position to run the school. Maybe sometime the authorities associated with the assigned responsibilities. Maybe when you go to you apply for the higher position, and then they see, okay, you guys are really qualified for this position, and then see that you have the ability to take a responsibility for this position. So the school administrator, maybe when someone's applied for the position and then they see, it's the same. So here is your authority, right? And each authority is legally given to people because of the positions and because of they earned and they are deserved. And sometimes based on the culture, they respect whether they are good or not. And there is at school, at school, and there is two kind of authority we can see. Sometimes they can make a complete, and sometimes they work together. Depends on what kind of leadership, the administrator and using, right? There is authority is based on the what? Administrator. It's executed by the administrator. That authority is what executed by teachers. Two kind of authorities exist. So, first of all, in administrator, the authority is what? It's from the position in the hierarchy. So, principal, vice principal, teachers like that, and then they connected with the school district, right? And that is all. And another one is what? And they are really specialized knowledge of school system operation and management. That's why, okay, he had ability, he learned, and he trained, and what? And that's what people acknowledge that, or he is the authority to run the school and give them authority. That's the administrator's authority. So, he's principals and central office, supervisors and district superintendents, and there is all kind of administrators, they have authority as administrators. And then what can they do? And if we talk about economics, and then what? Just microeconomics and then what? Macroeconomics. So macroeconomics is what? It's about whole country's economics. Microeconomics is small, is maybe home, household, like small, right? Stuff. That is all. And administrator authority, they use authority to like this curriculum reform measures. And then if you want to change the curriculum, and how can you start? It's where? Who's going to do that? That's the power they have to do that. So they believe that all the authority and control imitate from them. Right? Because ultimately they have the power to run schools. That's authority. So they decide, make decisions like big things, and then they decide instructions and directives and the purpose, and then maybe change programs and curriculums and evaluate their curriculums and programs, special programs, and then they start change with the authority. What about teachers' authority at schools? Teachers have what? They are knowledgeable subject. Okay, if you are in primary schools and you are equipped for teach students, right? And you study about everything during the college year, and then you get the kind of accreditation for how you guys teach, right? And if you are not a primary and you are secondary and high school and junior high school and what? You're supposed to major in something like an English major or and math major, and you can use what you study during the college year. But elementary school is a little bit different. The primary is different. You gotta teach all the stuff, right? It's not specialized. But nowadays they try to, and depends on how you run the school. And my kids' school, and there is some teachers are really good at writing and they teach English and writings. Some schools are really good at the science, and they kind of switch the class and move, and then they do a little bit different system, but usually. So they have knowledgeable subject matter on the expertise in pedagogy, right? they got trained, they learn how to teach, how can understand the children. And as it is related to their students, it's very related closely to students, right? Closely related. There is a different authority. And a teacher saw that how particular object work with a special group of students. They need a student need, and they know how to do teach those kind of students, right? And have authority and control over children and classroom. Without classroom, if they don't have any power. But administrative power is staff and teachers, over the staff and teachers. There's basically two kind of authorities there at school, and staff is administration, little bit, secretary, they are doing a little bit different, and other stuff, and then they are not main. But you can see that administrative power, at school, two kind of authorities, administrators and teachers. And then what's the success is it depends on how the administrators have a clear vision and clear communication with the teachers and work with the teachers, right? Because teacher has more authority of the student in classroom. Education is not order from the top. You gotta execute the specific with the specific method and deliver the specific knowledge in the classroom. That's why we need to work together very well. Here is research and pourquoi and pain, and then Cantonese, the qualities of leadership and essential to influence others involve a variety of factors. Okay. As an authority, as a principal and as a vice president, you have authority. How can influence on others? Even though you have authority and then you cannot influence others, there's a lot of different influence. But voluntarily and productive, there's no voluntary and productive influence. Here is they said that, okay, they said some factors there, okay, how can you influence others? Support system, and there's a lot of support systems there, and then participate in networking opportunity and parent, PTA, teachers association, and sometimes even student bodies, and outside district. Okay, there's an influence on leadership and authority, administrative authority. What about the information? Knowing where to find information, obtain it quickly, and managing the practice of the good listening. There's information, where to get and where to go, right? Who has the right information? There is information, where to get it. Credibility, attaining respect and trust through demonstrate ability and trustworthiness. Even though you have authority, there is no credibility. Just think about what happened. They don't follow you. Maybe they don't follow, and what happened? They increase the people with the power. Coercive power, right? Like what is it? One other country, Chile, right now, how many people are dying? And one of Latin America, right? And What is visibility? Being noticed as one who takes a difficult task, work hard at them. Demonstrate how you work hard. That is a leadership. And then, okay, I have power, just okay, order, do it. Sometimes it works, but it's not. Visibility is really important. And then legitimacy being recognized, commanded by respected persons in position of power. Okay, still, that's a legitimate power. It's a given, but recognized and respected. Where it comes from? Credibility, your integrities. And what about the persuasiveness? Effectiveness in winning others over, one's point of view, through one's confidence and personality and appeals to region and emotion. That's usually the logic and emotions persuade people to follow you. And sometimes people have just authority and force them to follow, right? Without persuasiveness. Rather than kill, remove them. So you can see that case in the political systems, political world, right? How they kill each other, how bite each other, compete each other. I don't know whether they are truly using their authority power for the people. Do you really think that? But depends on. But I don't much give. I don't give them much credit to them. But I don't know. Anyway, and then a charisma, the combination of quality and of the personal dynamics and all of that draw others. Just think about how can you use the charisma. Oh, they have charisma to lead the people. Sometimes you don't have to be with outgoing personalities. Depends on what kind of charisma you have. Even though you talk a little and you don't make a big promise with others and you show up yourself, and you don't have to do it. But how can you give them kind of influence and to follow? But in that setting, in the world, meaning that there is a right timing to talk. Sometimes other than that, it's very annoying and it's kind of really frustrating. You gotta know the timing. Which time is good? Talk about this matter, right? That is all factors influence on the why the authorized administrators executing their leadership authority. So think about as a teacher, and maybe when you work with a company and look at the people, managers, and then look at the directors and look at the leaders. Think about all the factors. I think the organizations, the same organization, but different, they use the power and the system is a little bit different from schools, and but we consider school as one of organizations, right? But there is a variety of the context, but still maybe the outer kind of appearance kind of phenomena may be different, but still we gotta deal with the same things. So we gotta know that the leadership shapes what? The produce pattern of interaction with others, and then meaning and of the activities and work. depends on leadership. Think about you are a teacher and then you work really hard and really have a heart for the student and how you teach, but one day principal changed, new principal came and then but the new principal take a totally different leadership style, and then so really again it's kind of destroying the school cultures, and then how can you work there? What happened? People leave and transfer, right? So leadership is very important. I mean, how we already talk about the leadership style, a lot of different leadership style, and then as an administrator, and how can execute your authority. It really relates to leadership, right? And so maybe if you want to really work with the students and teachers, and if you want to really reorient the purpose of education at schools, and then you got to think about that current paradigm of authority and what kind of leadership do you have? I mean, it relates to school culture, right? Sources of administration authority. Where we in the beginning we talk about the authority general, but where do the administrators earn the authority, gain authority? Here is there's about 5 kind of sources, and then first of all school. And schools and teacher expectation, teacher give them authority, right? And they have expectation to principals, to school make better and to teach student better. And what the students' expectation, sometimes maybe little kids they don't know, but they have expectation. Maybe they are recognized and they have the tea time with principal, they are very excited, and then they are very proud of themselves because they are selected. I don't know what kind of reward system, but students, all my principal wanna be nice and better and then like this, and maybe there is expectations, and then or maybe past practice. School, just think about what they had going through at schools, and teachers and students and staffs, and they had different expectations, practice, and there is administrative perceptions, and by themselves, how can they say? It's a kind of authority that execute at school. That's the one of the authority. What about district authority? School, how can you use your authority? And school district has a lot of schools get together and they run the schools. And then, district, school board policy, you gotta know the basic policies. How can you use, right? And then superiors' expectations. And there is a master contract, job description, and principal norms, and then you can use your power related to the what? In district. You can say, as a principal, you can talk, right? And what about the state? Like, my area is like ABC school district and Alticia and Solidos. And Bloomfield, the area is like the ABC school district. It belongs to LA County. And then go up beyond the county, and the what? The state level. So Department of Education and state law and state court decision, accrediting the agency. That's the related state, right? And what about after state in depends? We have a federation political system and what, and then always federal rules all the states, right? And then federal U.S. law and federal rules and regulation and court decision, national report, they have to work together. I don't know how much you can use your authority, but basically it's a lot of authority given by states, right? Given by district and sometimes communities, okay, parents, and local government and special interest group. When the administrator come to school and they have expectation and they give you authority for school. That is a basic kind of authority that given by the school district and state, federal, and communities. It's not just giving the authority. Why they give you authority and they are expecting something, right? They are expecting something. That is a source of administrator's authority. Okay, you have authority as an administrator. How can you use your authority? How can you make it effective, efficient, and productive? And how can you accomplish the purpose of your school? You already set, right? Here is some factors, and there is when you use authority while making decision. While you're making decision, you can use your authority, and then promulgating rules and regulations. You're gonna try and you're gonna shape all things, and then that's a part of executing the authority. And interpreting policy. There's a lot of policy there, and sometimes it's not clear, and you're gonna interpret and you're gonna execute. That is you can use authority. And issues directives in order to bring about some desired response from others. How can you do that? How can you deal with the issues, and how can you talk about the issues and then get the productive or desired response out of the issues, right? That is a kind of work that you need to do as a administrator, and then what factors we gotta consider. First of all, everybody is not always favored for you. Right? Sometimes there's a negative reaction against your decision and your thought. How can you deal with it? Everybody agree what you're thinking about. Everybody don't agree. Everybody's not agreeing with what you are suggesting. So first of all, you gotta think about the negative reactions. So Peabody, he suggested somehow you deal with negative actions, and then so usually when they have the negative reaction from the teachers and staff and what they think, that's not unreasonable. They think, right? That's why they show the negative reactions. So here is some teacher's attitude shows kind of negative reactions, and then Peabody suggests kind of A's, and then here is I'm gonna give you. The teacher may consciously question the order but accept it blindly. Okay, that's a part of negativity. Keep asking, even though they accept it blindly. And teachers may inform the administrator of their views and seek to be converted to the administrator point of view while complying with the order. But they still following, but still that's not positive action, right? And there's a teacher may discuss the situation with the administrator and then try to work or change it while complying with the order. They always comply with the order, but still they want to do something, change. That's a negative reaction. Teachers may attempt to gain support for their contrary view by appealing to co-workers. Okay. Yeah, I think in your the principal administrator suggests this agenda, but I don't think this is such a problem there, and we better do this way like this. And they kind of talk to their co-workers and get the kind of support. And what about teacher may go around the superior and try to gain the support of in the hierarchy of people from outside. Probably political, maybe they got connected to district, and there is some people hire and then try to get a support. It's political. Teacher may discuss order, but even though if they try to modify why seems to comply. That is a negative reaction. You gotta know that. Sometimes people don't have sense. I mean that they following and they unwilling, but still it's okay, and they just leading the people, even though they show the negative reaction. Maybe I don't know how much the project, the leading is effective. And teacher may ignore, evade, or try to modify the order without discussing. Okay? Not comply without discuss. That's not right, and they want to kind of try to modify it correctly. Teacher may openly reject order. I don't want it, that's not good. That's the one of, Teachers may transfer resign. That's the worst case. There is no hole. I'm going to transfer to other district like this. That's a negative reaction. How can you deal with it? You got to consider, okay? And what about another is a kind of responding to negative reaction to authority. Okay, how can you respond? Maybe you gotta know the reason why they why don't agree with you, why they show the negative reaction. You gotta kind of find out the reason, right? And then the question and the challenging authority is not necessarily bad. Sometimes it's not bad. Sometimes they have a different point of view that you can never thought about, and maybe better solution. Right? Only trying to listen and discuss. And there was negative reaction is can be instructive if the cause are understood. So try to open your ears to listen others. Maybe sometime really the leaders who really was authoritative and dictative, and then wow, they think that they thought it's always right. Because I know that the leaders and have their own as a reason and logic, not all the time. Sometimes there is a better solution, better way out there, right? That's why we gotta listen, especially for leaders and administrators. And then, and diagnose the problem through the discussion. So we gotta, if you understand, and then you gotta, well, how can you deal with it? You gotta discuss and find out. And then examine how the authority was exercised. And then maybe if there's authority is given and I have power to use, but sometimes you gotta know how you use it. I know they are traditionally given and it's given your authority is given, but still teachers and sometimes two different ways, and then sometimes they are hurt and sometimes they offended, right? So we are examining, and so see yourself as how can someone improve? How are you doing? Or I want to really dominate it and try to lead the way by my authority, or was I really trying to help others? That's examining, right? You gotta do it and then express a sincere concern. How can you concern about it? And choose the right moment to offer criticism and drop the word should from the conversation. You should listen, know that one. Don't say they should. And make a conscious effort to avoid appearing that you are more interested in achieving compliance than helping. It's a kind of bad influence, right? Focus is as an administrator, as your principal, you're concerned about others, help them to improve. That is a big thing. And discuss how the person will grow and benefit from following the suggestions that you are making. So how beneficial to students, how beneficial to teachers, and how beneficial to your school. And be specific, not like a kind of abstract, and gives it maybe specific steps and specific way that you could achieve. And let them visualize the kind of outcome that you are expecting. Maybe they can draw that vision, right? And be prepared to receive criticism yourself. That is basic self-examination when you get a negative a reaction from teachers and from others. And you are dealing with subordinations and then gaining compliance from registers. And that's a process that, no, it's not exactly what you need to do, but still, if you get some negative response, how can you deal with it? And there is, and how can you diagnose this problem? right? And how can you deal with the people? That's the kind of your reaction, though. What is the factors that you need to consider, right? And negative reactions is there, and sometimes I give you some, how can you respond, and then what? And consider what? Diagnosis problem through discussion, and then not dictative, using the dictative power, and then another consider, examining yourself, how you use your authority. And then dealing with the subordinate, how you dealing with the subordinations. Insubordination, they're supposed to follow you for how you do. Kind of course, force them to follow you and take it or just leave. But one of the ways that we gotta know that kind of dealing while you are dealing with this, and then just always a concern about their benefit and school benefit and other benefit. But always they have a different point of view, and then trying to discuss how can you make. And another concept of gaining compliance from registers. How can you do that? Maybe good logic. Sometimes, I don't know, a lot of different ways there, right? How can you do that? Maybe individually talk to them, and then maybe sometimes your presentation is poor, and then there's something that you never talk, and then that's why how can you get your compliance from the registers, and then that's where you gotta consider that when you use authorities. Here is some guideline for exercising authorities, and there is Bonard is the concept of the prerequisite for the compliance with authority. How can you use your authorities? Here is, and then first of all, and consider how the order will affect the recipient personally. Okay, maybe you are talking about student in school, but still, when you talk with a group of teachers, and usually, and just think about how these orders affect the recipient, teachers, and communities and parents and students, always, personally. You gotta know that the people's tendency, and even though it's really good for the school and students, sometimes you have to sacrifice something as a teacher, and then they don't like it. Maybe parents is different, right? That's why we gotta consider it. And we could make a better way, and then but you gotta improve more. You gotta sometimes renovate more than keep renovating stuff, and then it's not easy. It's a lot of work. Always think about it, and consider the strengths and limitations of those who will be expected to implement the directive. So what's the strengths? What's the limitation of people who will be expected to implement directive? So we gotta always know that if you know the person, like teachers, and then how can you support them? maybe you can acknowledge your strengths, and then you can cover their limitation, and then maybe they're willing to follow you and they're willing to work together. We gotta know that one. It means that you don't have the personal relationship with teachers, and if you don't know the teachers, and then it's really hard. That's why informal relationships are very important as a administrator at school. School is not to think about maybe elementary school, primary school, and then not many students, not many teachers. Maybe when I see my kids' school and for primary school, it's like 3 teachers each grade, and then think about around 20 teachers, include all, and vice president is there, and then president is there, and then 3 teachers, and then if they need, and they call from a substitute, right? That is another guideline. And third, explain thoroughly the rationale behind its directives and its relationship to the goals of the organizations. Explain thoroughly the rationale. You gotta prepare very well and show the good logic and reasons, and then and how we can achieve the goal. What is the benefit for the student? What is the benefit for the teachers? And what is the benefit for the school? Right? Not just push, we need this one, and we decided this one from there, and from the tree, and we gotta do. I know we gotta deliver the decision thoroughly. It's very well. That's a persuasion, right? And there is all the time legal room for modifying original order or the method of implementation. So there is always better ways out there. We acknowledge that. I know sometimes I have a lot of experience, and I know I read a lot, and I still researching a lot, and maybe I come to conclusion in this way. This is a perfect way. But if this is perfect, and then you gotta follow this one. I research it, my experience, people talk, but context is all the time. Context is always different. There is. That's why benchmarking is important, but we should know the context. So leave room for modifying the original order or program to, that is really important things. And then maybe teachers, and then suggest a better idea, and then modifying, and then they actively participate in the order and implement the order. Sometimes we don't know though, people really kind of limited to their own experience. Try to open your ears, and sometimes the work is not related to your own work, but sometimes if we are smart, and you can apply. That situation makes a difference different, and you can understand what about my situation. Think about it. You can get insight from others and other fields, and then think about how can you apply. And you can bring the issues, kind of idea on the table, and then try to think about it. I think it's actually a really good idea, but think about others, how they are talking about, right? And I had a really good experience though. I joined the church board, and then I was board members, and then they have their own rationale, and they want to change the church name. And then I joined the board, and then I was kind of new. And then they talk about always decided they almost said they were trying to take a legal process, change everything, right? That's a non-profit organization. You got to report to the IRS, and you got to change the bank and everything. They was about changing the process. But I asked that, why do you take this name? It's good for this church. There is no clear answers, and sounds good. It seems like biblical, and it's common to others. That was their kind of logic, and I suggest. And do you really want to reflect what the direction of ministry in the name? To the name, right? They say yeah. But do you think the direction of the ministry is the name is reflects our direction of ministry? They said no. Why don't you pick another name? They opened it. They really listen and try to work on again. And I suggested the name, and then they take the name. That's all. I was really amazing. Maybe if I joined in Korean as a board, like a church board, and then there's no, maybe any organization, there's no, you are new, you never know the church, and you know what we went through, and they might ignore. But the board members and try to listen, and they agree with me, and then change. There's room to change. That is a really important thing. Sometimes I had work for mission agency, and then I know a lot of people. They said they have a good experience field. They work for the field 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but they don't travel here and there. They only stay in one country, one area, right? Usually. But a lot of people believe that they know everything about missions. It's really narrow-minded, and they believe they know everything. But think about it, whole world, and then I told them, you live just a small part of the world. It's not all about it. Think about how people talking about missions, their experience. How many books out there, how many research papers out there, you gotta listen to them. But sometimes they don't listen. They just ignore the others' work. My experience is best. Right? If you don't leave room to change, and we're gonna lose a lot of things. So when you exercise your authority at school, and you gotta know that. Always. So I'm leading the mission team, and then always my idea is there, and then we're gonna go down. I'm leading team to Mexico, Tijuana, and then Tijuana, Mexico, and then we do the children's ministry and then other ministry. So really focus on education, and then last time team member they said they cannot go, and instead they bring some we are helping out the craft and give me basic ideas. Sounds good, but I was thinking about this way because the ideal reason, and they accept it and take it. And then they follow, they come here. You can use a lot of different things, but I wanted to participate in making this. If we design and repeat everything and just giving out, it's meaningless, pointless. And they followed, and then we did, and kids really loved. And then I bought some stickers and to decorate. We made a Christmas card, and then I want to give them kind of this concept of Christmas, and then maybe it's a holiday, but Christians really celebrate about the Jesus birth, and then I really focus on that one, and then I take out all other stuff, kind of distract people's mind from the authenticity of their Christmas, originality of their Christmas, and then I decided to bring the stars in different colors, different sizes of stars, and then it came out pretty good though. And it's still small, and I cut it and gave them different size of stickers, and they take it out, they decorate. So I'm really creative, right? When you work with others, and always, I know your rationale is right, and your experience is really respected, but still, always there is room to change. And especially exercising authority at school, and we're gonna think. And then the last one is issue only those directives they are relatively sure what they will obey or can be enforced if resist. There is how can we make issues? And sometimes also the new things and orders, and they are relatively sure, they're not sure, there are going to be issues. They are not sure. Maybe they will be obeyed or can be enforced if resist, right? To execute. And like this, and there is our plan, our program, and our order is not all the time, correct all the time. Just think about it. There is a little bit disagreement on how can you solve the issues. How? Maybe there is, and people now willing, and there's a register, and what's the next step? Just take polls, time to discuss, time to hear their opinion, right? That is a guideline. So I think that it's not just related to the guidelines that relate to the school setting, but any organization, any place that you are leading as a leader, and then maybe think about it. Give you some idea. There is administrative powers, and then what's the effect? If you use administrative power, what makes kind of effective, and what makes kind of how can you make it productive, and what is the outcome? What is the outcome? So we gotta know that the characteristic of administrative power, and then that is if they understand, and then sometimes they agree with your direction and directives and order, and really there's a security into our compliance. They're willing. And then there is okay, maybe what about that is maybe really passive. If I don't follow, maybe I'm gonna have issues, so that's not good. And maybe they think away, so maybe securing compliance and just following you. And then what about empowerment? And you gotta inspire them, motivate them to do something. Maybe even though they don't show was a apparent resistance, but still, it's not just securing compliance, but instead, what if we empower people, teachers and students? And there is types of power, and what kind of power is there? And there's a reward power, and coercive power, and legitimate power, and referent power, and expert power. What's a reward power? The capacity to provide a reward, such as a higher salary and better assignment. That's a reward. And what about coercive power? Coerce them to follow and provide punishment or negative consequences, such as teachers' dismissal. Right? That's a coercive one. What about legitimate power? Legitimate power is a form of authority given to a person within the organization. Okay, I'm a principal. You gotta listen to me. Even though you don't punish them, but still there's a power. And reference and the reference power is the kind of the tendency of the other individual to be attracted by or identify closely with the administrator, such as identification of the teachers with the administrator. And then there is a tendency of the other individual to be attracted by. That's a reference. Right? And that is not this one is how you relate to others and how you impress others, and then that's respect based on your credibility and integrity and your ability. That's a referent power. What about expert power? And you have a special knowledge and skills and like this. Supervision, scheduling, and group dynamics, like this. There's a types of power. And authority is here about how can you use your power. And then, think about, and then if you authority have a use of your power, and then how can use your power? Only you, or you can use power? I think we already talked about in other class, and how can leadership style and power sharing is really important. Depends on your leadership style. Usually, when I lead teams, I share the power. I mean that I delegate a lot of things to the people. And like this, and then when you go down to Mexico and we have worship there, who's gonna lead the praise? Who's gonna teach English? And who's gonna prepare the craft? Who's gonna teach? Usually I don't teach because there's a local pastors there, and then I cannot speak Spanish, and then sometimes they are really better than I do. Native language, and they really are good at children's ministry, but I don't have to preach every time I went down because I came down to help them, but not kind of a help. I don't have to help the preaching because they are better, so I don't do. So I delegate them, and then we talk about, and after the trip, the end of the day, and then yeah, we kind of evaluate how we have done, and then how we could better. Sometimes, yeah, I suggest that what do you think, and they share about this one. They know what was smooth, yeah, what is good and what is not good, and then they talk. And then next time when you come down, we prepare the part. But I don't control the people. Depends on how you lead the team, right? Depends on the size of the organization, depends on the, yeah, I know it's different roles, but still, what kind of leadership you are using, and then authority is already given, and how can you use your power, right? So different. Power sharing is kind of really important, and then I know, so there was ethnic immigrant church has really compared with the next generations, and then always they was first generation immigrated here, and they work hard to build up the church. They have a power. Then think about their cultural background as well. But their kids grow up here, and then the children's generation wanna share the power, but the parent generation, the first generation, we did and you don't know what it's about. So you gotta come under our authority, power. So they always consider them kids, even though they graduate from college, they got a job, and they married. There's a big conflict between first and second generation churches, and then what? They left the church, and nowadays they are building, they implant multi-ethnic churches, and Koreans and Chinese and white and black depends on, right? So sometimes they are not ready yet to take the higher level of they don't have ready to the higher level of the work, but still you share the power and kind of let them experience, let them do, and then they by the experience they kind of build up their ability. Little by little. There is a delegating the joy, which is really important. Okay, last one. What is the influence? And authority as school administrator, as a school administrator, authority is there and power is there. You can use authority, but how can you use your power, and then how can influence others? What is the influence? What is the influence? Here is the definition that we got, and the ability of the administrator without resourcing to force or limitation, but to affect others' behavior. Because I have a legal authority, and because to force you and I have, that's why a lot of people try to influence because of their legitimate power, their authority. But without resources to force or legitimation and affect others' behavior, that's an influence. Maybe the positively, negatively, you could maybe you couldn't influence others, right? Positively or negatively, but still you could influence others. But here is mean that influence is without any force and legislation. Just how can you influence? Not by your authority, not by your course. But usually the influence or shaping influence not by usually through what informal and non-authoritative means shaping. So if you get a good influence on others, maybe the work is really effective. But if you give a negative influence and then I don't know, maybe there is reactions. Other than that, kind of reaches to you, and then kind of there's big conflicts. Sometimes, right? So think about how can you shape the kind of give the good influence to others. That is a really important thing, and especially when you work together as a group and then team, that is really important things. How can you shape the relationship with others? Right? How can you develop the kind of close relationship? So informal. So informal relationship is really important. And caveat informal and mean that okay, you're gonna just talk to person to person. We are equal power. We have equal power. And non-authoritative mean that not force them to give them by power and listen to them and maybe and try to respect their opinion and then try to take their opinions. There is a different kind of authorities here still. The influence, and then here is a reference influence and reward influence, and then exploit influence. Same as like power. And then how can you influence others as your leader? And reference influence is identification of other individuals or groups with administration as a person, same as power, right? But it's not sure yet. If you identify yourself with others, but still it's not sure yet. So determined by factors over which most administrators have little or no control. That is, usually the reference influence, and then you cannot control any outside. Okay, and what about reward influence? Reward distribution, and then how can you distribute the reward? And you gotta think about, don't make an issue when you distribute the reward. There is also clear criteria, and then clear reason why they need the reward. But all the time, reward is not should be limited. Not to everybody, it doesn't mean that anything, right? Should be limited, but to really acknowledge others by reward. what about the alternative reward? And then when you reward and you cannot do this one because of the situation, what about alternative? And what about positive reinforce? And maybe negative and positive. And what about the hierarchical influence as a reward? There is influence the reward, how you reward others. But reward is influence. And if you, when you use a reward, then you can influence others. And expertise, and you have a special skills and knowledge about, and then influence. There's a types of influence of people, and then I don't know you guys whether think about influence, how you influence to others. Think about as an administrator, and then how the authority is given as an administrator, and then you can execute your power, and you can use execute your authority, and power is there, and then sometimes you can influence others. How? Different kind of different types of influences here. But anything else, and also especially reward influence, and then you gotta be careful though. You gotta be careful. Because sometimes always it's not positive influence. I know, try to make a positive influence on that, but sometimes, it's not. And depends on the, maybe, depends on the school culture, right? And that's why we gotta understand the school cultures, and we gotta understand the teachers, and we gotta understand the student. So today we are talking about authority and power and influence. We mostly talk about the authority, right? And authority is like not much difference with the power, but still usually it's not it's not not the negative connotation, but still you have kind of ability to do something, use your power, give power and influence, and that one is if you use this authority, power, influence as an administrator, and then maybe you can reduce the conflicts and you can manage the conflict very well. But this one is not just a topic, and topics that relate to the leadership and communications and right, making decision and change. Everything is kind of goes together. It's not a sole topic that we can this is it, and then we gotta focus on that one. But it's related to leadership stuff, right? So think about as this leader, administrator at school, and then there's a whole package that you gotta think about yourself. If you become an administrator. So that's why I think there is a test there if you want to become an administrator, like a principal, vice principal, and then certain level is you gotta take some classes, and you need experience here and there, and then you can apply and pass the test, and then maybe become an administrator. That's a different way. So they try to equip people jump into the role, and then, but still, yeah, it's not. We gotta know that we are not perfect, and still, how can, yeah, what kind of leadership style you want? So the leadership style should fit in your personality, and should fit into our school culture, right? And then it's a lot of work as a communicator with the teachers and students and staff, and it's a community and district, and it's a lot of work. So I hope that, and through this class, and just we gotta know that what we need if we want to become an administrator, and then give you kind of a basic idea about how to operate schools as a leader, right? All right, you guys have a great week, and take care of yourself, and you're pretty cold, but take care of yourself and have a very blessed